up, Cinema Shogun here, and I said it before, I will say it again. This should be the #1 news story in America right now, but it's not. And the fact that this news story is not getting more coverage is very telling to me. For those of you all who don't know this by now, and chances are you don't, because no one's really talking about it, the mainstream media, they mention it every now and then. It's almost like an afterthought. But an illegal Chinese BioLab that was working on deadly diseases was discovered operating illegally out of a warehouse in California. I can't even say all of the names of the diseases that they were experimenting on YouTube. So that should tell you a lot. But the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, he hasn't said a single word about this. It's not really in the newspapers. The mainstream media mentions it ever so often, but this story is not getting the coverage it deserves. Right here in America, on our own soil, we've discovered this secret biolab that was engineering certain viruses. They're working with COVID. They're working with HIV. And where's PETA? PETA likes to make a big stink about people eating chicken and cows, but they discovered 200 dead mice, as well as plenty that were alive, that were illegally being tested on with all of these infectious diseases. PETA's not saying a single word. Everyone is trying to turn a blind eye to what is going on. And let's just be real here. If they happened to and this is the crazy part. They accidentally stumbled upon this warehouse with this biolab inside. The only reason they found out about it is because they had like a hose that was poking out of the wall, and someone noticed it. They said, that's a violation. And then when they went to go look into the place, that's when they found all types of crazy stuff, including just vials upon vials upon vials of human blood, human waste. It's really weird, bro. It's really scary to think that these random warehouses could be containing things like this. And we know how things have been going in America lately, right? If you all have been subbed to my channel long enough, we've talked about all of these crazy warehouse fires, these food distribution plants, they're blowing up. We got trains derailing every day. All we need is for a random accidental fire to break out at a warehouse like this one, and we'll have infectious diseases all over the place. I mean, I want you all to understand they're working with stuff that shouldn't be worked with in the first place. Like, we shouldn't be doing all of this stuff with these viruses in the first place. But if we're going to do it, it needs to be in a lab with proper safety precautions. These people are operating out of a warehouse, a random warehouse. No safety precautions at all. They could drop a vial and next thing you know, we got the next big outbreak. But that's probably what they want. I don't think for 1 second that they were just in the name of science, working with viruses inside of this warehouse. No, I can guarantee you that they were doing it for purposes to weaponize these diseases against us. At least that's my opinion. Of course, I'm probably not allowed to say that. And of course, they don't want us talking about this, because if they did want us talking about this, they would be talking about this. But that's where we're at in this situation. But luckily, they did talk about it for just like 3 minutes on the news earlier. So I want to show you this clip And then after this clip, I'll be back with more thoughts. But while you're watching this clip, it's important. Go ahead and start dropping comments down below. Go ahead and start hitting that like button. It helps this video spread in the algorithm, and we need more people knowing about these weird things that are going on right here in our country. But let's go ahead and roll the footage, and then I'll be back with more thoughts.
Investigators discovering a horrific scene in suburban California. An illegal BioLab, reportedly backed by communist China, has been operating under the radar in Fresno. Authorities say the warehouse was packed with hundreds of mice in inhumane conditions, medical waste, and at least 20 infectious agents. Our next guest sits on the House Strategic Committee on China. He's Florida Congressman Carlos Jimenez, and he joins us now. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us on this topic. This topic has not been discussed, in my estimation, not discussed enough. In this lab, they found COVID, HIV, many other diseases. What do we know about not just the lab, but its connections to China?
We don't know much about it. At this point, what we do know is that it was operating illegally. It poses a threat to the people of California and the United States. They were testing for COVID and, like you said, AIDS and everything else. And then the rats and the mice there, 200 of them were found dead out of 1,000. All kinds of medical equipment and medical testing equipment and human blood. And they were testing for a lot of agents. So we don't know what they were doing or why they were doing it, but apparently they're tied to the CCP and to Chinese-linked firms.
How is this type of thing normally regulated? It should be under the guidance of what? And what made this particular one illegal?
Well, I'm sure that you have to get the okay. You have to follow CDC guidelines. You have to be registered and you have to be licensed by the state and probably your local authorities. And I'm sure that this lab had none of that, and so they were operating illegally. But that's norm for Chinese-linked companies. They will cut corners and they will not play by the rules. And this is just another example of that. Not only are they not playing by the rules, those companies that operate here in the United States, but around the world, the Chinese-linked companies, because they're tied to the CCP, just don't play by the rules
Right.
to get an advantage. Whatever advantage they can get, they'll try to get. And that's why, that's one of the things that we're investigating in our committee, how they do business here and around the world. And what we're finding is we don't like what we're seeing.
No doubt. And I know you said you're still in the investigation phase of this, but, after what we now think is a probability that COVID came from a lab leak in China, I'm not sure the answer to this question is operatively different, but I think we still want to know. Is this, as you said, a company linked to CCP looking to just cut corners and is sloppy and haphazard, in which case we could have a big disaster? Or is it more nefarious, where there's a reason they're trying to avoid government oversight, in which case it's more intentional?
That's a great question, and that's something that needs to be found out. What is it that they were doing, and why were they doing it there? And what kind of a threat it poses to, again, like I said, pose to the people of California, and then the people of the United States. It's no secret that they tried to hide for a long time that the Wuhan lab was not the cause of COVID-19, when in fact, in all probability, 99% it was. And so what are they doing there, and what are they testing for, and what kind of threat does it pose, again, to the people of that area and eventually to the people of the United States? That's something that we have to find out.
Absolutely. This one's on our home soil. Congressman Carlos Jimenez, thank you for being with us this morning and helping us begin to understand this story.
Thank you.
Now, after hearing and seeing all of this, I want you to think about everything we went through a couple of years ago. Think about everything that people are still going through right now. I'm talking about with the lockdowns and all of that madness. Think about that. And then tell me why this is not a bigger news story than what it is. Judging by everything the entire world just went through, tell me why. Can anyone tell me Can anyone make up a valid reason as to why this is not a bigger news story than what it is? I thought that the government cared about us. I thought that they were really worried about our health. I mean, they locked down the entire world because of the beer bug. Yet, here we have an illegal BioLab working on the beer bug inside of a warehouse in California, and they don't want to talk about it. I thought our health was important. What happened? What changed? Right? I mean, the beer bug was so dangerous that we had to change life as we know it. People had to lose their jobs. People had to lock down. People had to wear masks. People had to social distance. Yet here we have a BioLab discovered in California working on the same virus that shut down the entire world, and no one seems to give a damn. Oh, I guess our health isn't important anymore. Almost as if it was never about our health in the first place. Almost as if y'all were never really concerned about this virus in the first place. Because if you were, surely you would be concerned about the fact that we have illegal biolabs freaking doing experimental research on the beer bug in California in an unregulated warehouse that people use to store stuff. So like I said, the fact that this news story is not getting as much coverage as it should, it's very telling. If you haven't woken up by now, then I don't know what it's going to take. But hopefully, this should show some people. And I don't have to come right out and say it. You should be able to read between the lines. This should show you a lot. This should tell you a lot. Because if they took this virus as seriously as they pretended to, if they thought that this virus was as deadly as they claimed it was, and if we had to go through all of this for the last couple of years, then why aren't they making a big deal about this warehouse and this BioLab? Why are they refusing to talk about it? You tell me. This is one of those videos where I shouldn't even have to tell you my opinion. You tell me. You tell me what you think down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit the thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all soon in the next video.